I don't know exactly what Roy is smiling about, but Roy smiles tend to be a treasure around here. And it may be about the handprint that is on Chris Cody's freckled chest. It may be the condition that Zaslow walked in. I don't even say walked in here, came in here today.
Dude's rough.
I mean, Zaslow's body has not been tested the way that wrestling tested it yesterday.
How did he drive to work? He's got a long drive from Cooper City, whatever planet that's on.
He was broken, physically broken by the wrestling that he had to partake in yesterday. But how many of you consumed what Nick Wright was doing on Poker Go last night? How many of you were there participating in the 6.5 hours of live coverage that had a lot of inappropriate commentary from a table full of dudes?
It was good. It was fun. We all had a shift on watching. We're all line shift mates. I had the 11 to 12 hour, Dan. So
yeah, 10 to 11.
Very late. Very late for the boy.
Okay, so but all of you got to experience something that felt like vicarious winning, or were you living and dying with the stakes of what it is that was happening? Because I got a message from Nick Wright today, and Nick Wright in Vegas is just generally dangerous. He's a little bit on the edge in terms of action seeking. And so I got a message from him this morning saying, hey, man, I don't know about being on the show this morning. And I'm like, Nick, it is this morning. Like he's wanted. Vegas doesn't have, windows, and they're pumping in oxygen into the hotel, so you have no idea what time it is. Clocks are hard to come by in Vegas, and Nick clearly doesn't know what time it is, but he won big last night. Like I'm not going to say he was the big winner, but that's going to be that's going to be a big win in Nick Wright's poker life. That's a game that's beyond his comfort level.
It was a 6-digit win for him. And there was, in my shift from 11 to 12, he had hit like a nice $78,000, $80,000 pot. I was like, all right, we're cooking here. So really when I logged on is when he started doing well. So I think I should get a little extra on the pot just because I was a good luck charm.
Dan, he covered his wire to the Aria.
That's correct. And Zaslow texted me yesterday that he believes I just wired $100,000 to the Aria Hotel is the douchiest quote in the history of this show. That's what Zaslow
lightweight
texted me, and Mike then texted back at Zaslow, you're just jealous because you had 6 sad walks to the ATM last time you were in Vegas, and you hate that Nick Wright was a big public winner and also won big on the show for the shipping container, which for some reason Poker Go was calling the custodians. Why were the broadcasters on Poker Go? By the way, the community of our show just simply took over that broadcast and made it really fun for the broadcasters. But why were the broadcasters referring to the shipping container as the custodian?
Well, they weren't all that familiar with us initially, so it was a slip up. But I think it's actually an upgrade. I kind of dig the custodians, especially when you consider everything that's going on in the world and what our actual job is here. I like the custodians.
Yeah, how many mistakes I'm actually making these days?
I'm constantly cleaning stuff up.
Yeah, custodians. We didn't clean enough up from yesterday.
No, something slipped through yesterday. We're sorry.
A few things slipped through from yesterday. Need more help from the custodians. The way to get them to do better is not by rewarding them with money.
Vas a dar toda la vuelta así. Lo abrimos aquí.
Time for the fastest moving sport. We're so damn excited to get back to the battle court. Step on the concha. Your cesta launches a chick-chack. And the Cyclones gear up for the attack. Highlight is back, Jack. When the Warriors are running through, pick up the phone and call Manu. When the Renegades are moving in, the Cyclones will step up and win. When the Fronton is getting packed, that's how you know that Highlight is back, Jack. Let me hear you say.
I genuinely like this sport.
So we better see you there when they remate. Rebote like a maniac. If you say this game's the best, I'll say it's a gag. Highlight is back, Jack.
For my rotator cuff, so please be gentle.
Highlight is back, Jack. Highlight is back. Highlight is back, Jack.
Zaz is in a state of broken disrepair and despair after Domino harmed him yesterday. Wrestling hurts. I know people think that it is scripted, but physically it hurts, and there are a lot of people in pain from wrestling. Zaz's body, no matter how much stretching he does, Zaz's body is not in a condition to be thrown around on a wrestling ring, and that's what happened to him yesterday. And so Zaz is in now, and I thought he was going to require, I don't know what those are called, the full body casts that have a splint under the arm to keep
full
it.
body cast.
No, but what is
Like in traction? Like a proper custodian.
when your arm is straight, when your arm has to be straight out, and the full body cast doesn't always have the splint that keeps the arm straight.
Hey, Dan.
I thought
That's a full body cast with a splint.
okay, the splint is what it's called. The splint. It's
Yeah. Sure.
Okay, thank you. Good work by the custodians as always. His arm is in a sling. Zaslow, do you want to tell us about what happened? Because you were welcoming the fight from Domino. You did very good, and you were great. And I got to tell you, as a villainous creature, you were great in terms of raking his eyes and then laughing.
I stuck my thumb right in his eyeball.
Yeah. But then you got the worst of it by the end of everything that happened. How is it that you're in so much worse shape than Chris, who just has a handprint on his chest, on his freckled ginger chest?
I am older than Chris, so that probably plays a little bit of a role. But look, everybody knows. Two things about me everybody knows. I put my heart and soul into everything, and I'm never a cuck. Everybody knows those two things about me. And yesterday, you would expect, I put my heart and soul to it. And I'm a little bit sore today.
Okay, so we will get to all of your thoughts because your opinions are no softer than they've been, even though you took a beating yesterday. And we have a situation here after all of these years with Tua where Dominic Foxworth is saying on Get Up, quote, Tua has the pedigree of a quarterback that I think will be pretty attractive talent-wise. He's better than a lot of the quarterbacks that are out there right now. And then more locally, Chris Perkins says the Dolphins were 14-5 when Tyreek had 100 or more yards, 14-23 when he had 99 or fewer. Tyreek influenced winning more than Tua did. And the reason that I wanted to have this conversation is twofold. I was saying the other day that I haven't seen the Dolphins in this particular condition before, because we can say that we spent 7 years arguing about Ryan Tannehill, but they had somebody who was playing the quarterback position competently. They're about to get rid of Tua, and I don't know what they're going to do at the position, and it's a strange situation to be in when the big dog, Joe Rose, local broadcaster, still doing it.
Yeah, he's got 2 tickets to caller number 9 to see Alabama live in concert.
Still doing it in the morning, still hanging on to AM radio. When the big dog turns on you as a local broadcasting legend who represents the team and voice for the team, is literally voice for the team, he's turned on your quarterback. You've lost him. You've lost a lot of people.
Mike McDaniel literally put together a passing game that was perfect for Tua's strengths. Remember, we heard all that too deep's messed this up. No, too deep messed Tua up. Too deep doesn't mess up good quarterbacks. Too deep messes up Tua. Oh, they too deep this. What? Hell that come from? We got too deep. Too high. Yeah, I was too high last night. I don't know what the hell you're talking about, man. What? Too deep. I don't know. A lot of guys throwing and chewing up too deep.
It's good.
Respectfully.
That was great. I've been there with a bad quarterback. When we had Tyler Van Dyke, like, damn,
Wait a
they
minute.
ran zone.
No, but too deep slowed down Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah,
Too deep to slow down every quarterback in the NFL, actually.
I mean, the great ones tell their bodies not today.
What are your thoughts here? Because this is a gulf of still different opinions, right? You got Chris Perkins saying one thing. You got Dominique saying this is an attractive free agent quarterback. I'm like, in what world? I think I have this right, do I not? Is Tua more expensive than Mahomes? Like this, one of the gifts that Kansas City has, I believe, is that they now have a quarterback who is a quarterback at value for 10 years.
I think technically, even though the common thought in the league is that Tua's not going to be on this roster anymore, so his cap number is not existing anymore. So as of right now, headed into next season, yes, that is the case, but Tua won't be in Miami.
Do you have anything to say here? It looks like it might hurt your jaw to talk, so I'm not sure if your opinions have been muted by the pain in your face.
I'm on a lot of painkillers here, Dan. So I'm trying to keep it together. But if I could focus for a moment, I will tell you, I find it shocking to hear that Dominique Foxworth, who will know more about football than me for the rest of my life. I have a very difficult time understanding how Dominic believes that Tua is going to be an attractive quarterback to anyone. Like, I don't think he'll ever be a starting quarterback again the rest of his career.
But who's out there? His point is, who's available?
So what? But what is it? Okay, so he's attractive for a team to sign as a backup? Is that what he's saying? 'Cause
Yes.
That's not what that quote sounds
The
like.
quote is, Tua has the pedigree of a quarterback that I think will be pretty attractive. Talent-wise, he's better than a lot of the QBs that are out there right now.
That sounds like someone who is saying Tua still has a chance to be a starting quarterback in this league. And I would tell you, I do not believe that.
Zaz, any QB in a roster has a chance to be a starting quarterback in this league because halfway through the season, everybody's hurt.
But that's not what we're talking about.
No, but hold on. He's attractive because you're not paying him $150 million, right? You're attractive because you're going to give him like a 2 for $20, good luck, prove it deal.
Oh, who cares? I mean, okay, so hold on. If the Dolphins only had to pay Tua $1 this year, if you counted $1 against the salary cap, you'd still want to be a starting quarterback?
No, but he'd be the backup.
Oh, but that's where we're different.
Well,
I don't think Dominiqu's talking about
Okay,
being a
but
backup.
let's talk about this for a second, okay? Because I just saw somebody that I thought was going to be a backup for the rest of his life win the Super Bowl. Like, that happened. We just watched that happened. I think that there was a point that all of us would have said Sam Darnold is no longer a starter in this league. Correct? Don't you? We were there.
Yep.
And the skill set, though, that I saw last year from Tua, and the reason that I think I have to agree with Zaz, but I'm scared to agree with Zaz, is because I really don't know what kind of literal brain damage we're talking about here that made that quarterback go from the statistically best passer leading the statistically best offense to somebody they were clearly trying to hide last year, and it was all bubble screens.
Yeah, it could be the brain injury or just could be too high safeties.
Yep. The amount of check down that I saw last year, the amount of scare that I saw built into the fabric of the quarterbacking made me think that this is a quarterback arc that I've not seen before, which is number one statistical passer in the league to, it's all short-circuited. Is that the brain injury? That is just not something I've done before. And now in what should be by age athletic, something close to athletic prime, we're talking about a quarterback who looked washed. Like what we were watching last year was the way that you try to hide your 39-year-old quarterback because he can't move anymore.
I don't think this one's overly complicated. And yeah, the brain injuries, you don't really know the full extent. You can't see it. But keep in mind, he also had bad hip injuries. He's had other injuries, and I don't think it's that weird. RG3, Carson Wentz, guys that had incredible starts to their career, MVP conversations, Pro Bowlers, All-Pro conversation. They flame out. Why? They got hurt. And the league adjusted to what they did after they got hurt. And I think Tua is right in that class.
Okay, but here is the thing about the precedents that you're saying.
Oh, man. Sorry.
Shoulder?
It turned really quickly.
The thing that I am disagreeing with you on when you cite the precedence of injury is that I saw what it is and can measure what it is that made RG3 go from somebody who was running 80 yards down the sideline to, oh, he can't play that way anymore. The physics and the physicality of what it is that happened to him and Carson Wentz is different to me than Tua, because while the hip stuff is real and the hip stuff is true, it's not the stuff that people go to with Tua. It's all of us becoming brain doctors all of a sudden because we don't recognize, yes, the movement is something we don't recognize, but last year it was the decision-making that we didn't recognize. Why are you always throwing it 6 yards behind the line of scrimmage?
This one's so clear to me. I saw it. I saw fencing fingers. I saw, like, is this guy going to be able to live a life after this hit that he just took? I saw it. I mean, that guy, in terms of, like, head injuries at the position, he's synonymous with it. He's right up there with Steve Young. I saw it. His brain has taken a beating over the last few years.
Yes, you saw it, but this is the part, though, that's not diagnosable, okay? I also saw Troy Aikman play a game he says he doesn't remember in an NFC Championship game because of the amount of concussions. He still played well.
Yeah, well, he's a Hall of Famer, and Tua's not at that level.
Okay, but Tua did have 1 year where they had the best offense in the league, and it's the reason that all the hope down here got distorted.
And Troy Aikman had to people is the things that Tua's going through right now, injury-wise, maybe brain injury-wise as well, we expect it to be from a guy who is like 5 or 6 years older than Tua is. And I would say, all right, we're seeing it at a younger age that quarterbacks normally find themselves, debilitated by injury, and that's confusing to us that, whoa, this is happening at this age, when I think, yeah, that's what we're seeing.
I'm not surprised that Mike has absolute certainty about what he knows and what he sees. I don't. I'm confused. You can cite Wentz and you can cite RG3, but in my lifetime, there hasn't quite been locally what this was, which is an argument for 4 years from everybody in the sport. It wasn't just locally. With Tannehill, we argued for 7 years locally. The entire football community was arguing for 4 years about, is this guy any good? Or is he a contrivance made by his coach who can make Mostert somebody who has 18 touchdowns one season and then the next season isn't useful to anybody?
It honestly happens all the time. Vince Young was on the cover of Madden.
So is Peyton Hillis.
It happens. It goes. And with Tua, there is like the single most logical explanation as to why he's no longer an effective quarterback, I think.
You say it happens all the time, but Vince Young, I never thought was a product of his coaching. I never thought that anybody was making Vince Young great. I thought Vince Young was great. Like in this particular instance,
please stop yelling at me.
In this particular, I got $100 in fines I paid yesterday.
You're yelling at me, and I feel like I'm giving you good points here, and they're just not good enough for you. And I don't understand it.
Why are you pointing at me,
You owe
man?
$150 today.
Yo, don't worry about that.
You owe $150, so pay up.
Why do I owe $150?
Dan told us that you took the $100 that he gave you, and you took it to the casino.
Well, I'm trying to win money. I mean, why if I had $100 in my pocket and I'm going to Vegas, why would I not try and make it $200?
Because you're supposed to put that money in the fine bucket.
Well,
brought to you by Moneyline.
Tony, that was the plan, all right? I didn't plan on losing.
And what happened?
I lost.
Okay, well, you got to
the
pay
plan
up.
was to take that money and double it, and then maybe even quadruple it. I don't know. I hadn't thought that far out. The plan was to double it and then put the money in the fine bucket.
We need to put it now.
That's a good plan.
Are you raising your voice at me?
I did raise my voice at Mike Ryan, and while he says he is making good points and he has conviction about what it is that he's saying, I've got the fundamental disagreement of Dominique Foxworth is still out here telling you that this talent-wise is the best quarterback available, and I don't think he's making him a backup.
This happens every year, though. Carson Wentz becomes available. He can tap back into MVP form. Derek Anderson, he was a Pro Bowler. We can rescue his career. It happens. It's part of the game, and there's always going to be someone with credibility because Tua does have good tape out there that's going to think this guy can recapture it because a couple of times we have seen people recapture it. You mentioned Sam Darnold. He is a historical outlier, but Everyone's going to be comparing journeyman quarterbacks to Sam Darnold now as the gold standard of what can happen if someone fulfills their promise.
Not only that, he has to be in the perfect system with the perfect weapons around him, which he had in Miami a couple years ago. And then we see how, when that thing changes, how much of a degraded quarterback he is.
Which player was it, Dan, who, I don't know, it was like a month ago, right, on a podcast, of a Dolphin was talking about how amazing Tua looked still in practice, and that he then looked like a player who had the yips during the game.
Darren Waller.
Oh, it's Darren Waller. Oh, was that with you? All right. Very good. You did a good job getting that info.
I don't know whether that was with
I don't think
me
it was Dan.
or
No,
Johnny
somebody
Manziel.
else.
Dan.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Someone else did a good job.
That was another good question from somebody
Johnny
else.
Manziel
Yeah, Dan did a
a
bad
good
job.
question.
Props to that guy.
Yeah, I was asking all about the mental health stuff.
Yeah.
I didn't
Big
ask-
shocker.
I only asked him about like one Dolphin question.
Oh, all right. You could have gotten that nugget then.
At the height of your despair, what did it look like?
The reason that I'm objecting to what it is that Mike Ryan is saying is because I think we're being a little bit cavalier about the results of brain injuries as if we have any earthly idea what's happening with the brain injuries in that sport. And all those other examples that you cited, it's never been a brain question. Never. It's never. There has not been a time. Steve Young retired because of concussions. Troy Aikman retired because of concussions. There's no one else who you're saying their prime is being short-circuited by something that football doesn't understand, we don't understand, and we're like, well, it happens. Okay, if you say so, but I don't have the doctor diagnosis to tell you that I understand what just happened there because I still don't know whether he was a contrivance. He was taken as a top 5 pick. The Dolphins would not be the only team that took him as a top 5 pick. He was universally regarded as one of the 2 or 3 best quarterbacks in that draft. Somebody else would have taken him in the top 10 based on what it is that he was. And now locally something has happened that I have not seen happen before. But I've taken too much time and the wrong tone in talking about what should be the celebration of the morning, because I want to thank the community around our show for making 6 hours last night around Nick Wright a whole lot of fun. And as an added bonus, originally he went into this saying, look, I'm going to free roll the shipping container at a max of $5,000. I'm going to give 6 people who are here $5,000 to split among them, but he won so much that it's even better than that. So let's hear from Nick Wright because he wants to share his winnings with our audience and with the group. By the way, he is a very good gambler. Like many of you might think that poker doesn't have skill in it. I am here to tell you that that person has a mathematical skill and an observance of human beings that make him very good at poker.
Dan, there was a perfect conversation happening between him and Cowboy Sean, who is the cowboy-hatted guy all the way at the end.
That fool.
I know you don't because you weren't watching, buddy. You were in a gurney somewhere. So Cowboy Sean has a pair of queens, right? Queen comes out on the river. Nick doesn't have anything. Makes Cowboy Sean fold after bidding him up.
Well, this is the thing, right? I believe that I can say accurately, even though I only know enough about poker to get beaten by people who know more about poker than me, but I actually think that the skill or the greatest skill in poker is how you play when you don't have the cards, not when you do have the cards.
It's a great microcosm of the life.
Tony's showing his ass there, bidding him up. I mean, jeez. Know the lingo, dude.
This guy's a poker snob over here. Okay, then you say it, buddy.
All
Were
right,
you
no,
watching or
you
no? What were you
raised
doing?
him?
You were
All
bowling?
right, listen, we don't need to fight. It's a time to
No,
celebrate.
well, we need to fight.
No,
Say river or flop.
I said river.
There's
Flop.
money for all of you here. There's plenty of money for all of you, more than I expected. Here's Nick Wright.
What up, Le Batard Show? Decidedly, definitively not on a toilet thanks to your guys' deceptive editing at the moment. I had told you guys that it was a 5K, it was 5% with a 5K max win, which meant if somehow I turned 25,000 into 125,000, I would ship you guys 5K. Sadly, that is not what happened. Instead, I turned 25,000 into roughly 160,000. So 135,000 win 5% of that, I'm not good at math, but it would be exactly $5,700. I'm actually very good at math. And there were 6 people, but Chris Cody, I made fun of his breasts, and I feel badly about it. So let's just round it all up. Let's say it's 7 people, it's $7K. Ship them all $1,000 each. And I hope to join you guys for an interview in the morning, but probably gonna turn up a bit and celebrate. Appreciate the support.
Congratulations, guy. Look at Zaslow. Zaslow is not happy for anyone here.
Yeah.
Zaslow, Nick.
How did I make more money than you in Vegas?
Nick is presently careening through Vegas. I think he might have lost it all, so you might want to get that money back, because I don't know. Like, his need for action is scary, because I don't think that people realize what it takes in terms of stamina to do that amount of time of math sitting around people who you might not like otherwise. that you're competing against. Now, I don't know that. He might like them. They might be kindred spirits and soulmates.
Sparkly hat guy seemed pretty cool.
Put respect on his name. That's Doc Holliday.
Clearly hated that Kiki guy.
Oh, Senor Tilt.
Oh my God, that guy.
That guy's intimidating. I don't know what's going on, but I could tell.
Congratulations to all of you. That's I
want to say thank you to Nick Wright, who played an incredible game.
For real. Thank you, Nick.
Wright. Thank you.
Thank you, Nick.
Very gracious gentleman.
Can I get some video of Nick, please, not liking Kiki?
How sick is it that I was behind in that hand and I wanted him to go away? How sick of a gambler am I? I knew I'm behind and I want him to go away.
Do you have a pair?
It's ace king. No.
Ace king.
So there's no audio there, but you
guy's an
can
asshole.
see that Nick is just steaming. You could see he's actually giving him the Mick Cronin side eye. He's not looking him in the face. I can't get enough of that Mick Cronin sound.
How sick of a gambler am I? How sick, dude.
It was annoying to watch some of that. I mean, poker player chatter, it's generally annoying, I would say. Put it on the poll at Le Batard Show. Is poker player chatter generally annoying? Because I don't know. Our audience made it entertaining. The broadcasters made it entertaining. The custodians getting in there and getting in the chat made it entertaining. And so thanks to everybody with Poker Go and the community for making the shipping container a few $1,000s and an enjoyable evening of watching something on television that I'm pretty sure I can say accurately. The lipstick camera is one of the greatest inventions in the history of sports broadcasting because it allowed people to play poker with the experts. Put it on the poll at Le Batard Show. Is the poker lipstick camera one of the great inventions in sports broadcasting history? Because you cannot broadcast poker without it, nor can you learn how to play from people who are really good unless you're there is no book that can teach you what you learn watching a table full of real professional gamblers with the knowledge of what it is they have when that's not something that could be seen before. I'm pretty sure, actually, did that start with ESPN?
Yeah.
ESPN started broadcasting poker, and all of that became a phenomenon.
Yep.
I remember, I guess I learned of Chris Moneymaker that way, one of the great names in the history of sports to have that name. It's right up there with Brian Cashman as the GM of the Yankees. To have the name Chris Moneymaker. I was introduced to the whole idea of it by Chris Moneymaker as a sort of amateur beating a bunch of pros, and it was riveting to watch. What would otherwise be boring was riveting to watch because of the invention of the lipstick camera.
That's exactly the name that I find synonymous at the same time as the poker really taking off as something that you could watch on television. Probably around 2001, maybe 2002. Like, I was in college, and I remember putting it on. It was ESPN. We were watching it all day long. Like, hold on, you could see the cards? Like, that was a new thing, and we were hooked on it.
Get me for real quick the Mick Cronin sound again, because I do want to relive all of this again, even though we relived it 4 or 5 times yesterday. Because while we laughed at it, I did have the thought that I did not mention. and I don't know Mick Cronin's marital status, but when he did all of this, what I did think to myself and never say was, man, that must be difficult to be married to, because if he can turn that quickly, the power structure of something around where he bullies somebody who is powerless in the face of this, all of this was funny, the gaslighting, the anger of it. But Chris Cody, have you seen all of this? Because in the examination of this, the lack of eye contact right up until the reporter talks back to him, and he smirks. He smiles, and he's like, "Oh, you should take my kudos for saying." Do you know how long Mick Cronin's been coaching? That's the worst question I've ever heard. That guy's been doing press conferences every day for 40 years, and he says kudos on the worst question I've ever heard. And the reporter gives him half a syllable of talk back. And that's when Cronin turns and gives him eye contact, and then immediately uses everything in his environment to undress the reporter.
What was your thought in the student section chanting Booker's name?
I could give a rat's ass about the other team's student section.
I just meant the overall the way that you.
I would like to give you a kudos for the worst question I've ever been asked.
Did you like
you should take it.
The preparation of the...
Do you really think I care about the other team?
No, I don't think you care about the other
team. Are you raising your voice at me?
No, I'm just...
Yeah, you are. Yeah, you are. Come on, dude.
No reason.
Come on. Yes, you are. Everybody's standing here listening to you. Everybody. This is on camera. They can hear you. I answered the question. I could give a rat's ass about the other team's student section. I coach UCLA. I don't care about Michigan State students. I mean, who cares?
I hate him. I'm annoyed that I'm seemingly the only one here who hates him. Like, how do you watch that clip of Mick Cronin and not hate his guts?
Because that's like the most tame version of Mick Cronin being
it bothers me.
Ass.
So Mick Cronin married, had a kid, divorced, but his ex-wife is the author of a book called It's Not About Us, a co-parenting survival guide on taking the high road, which was released in October of last year, I believe. And so before moving to LA to take this job, he had a discussion with her about the potential of their daughter coming to LA. So she moved to LA as well, despite what was referred to in this USA Today article as a strained divorce in 2009.
So Greg Doyle from the Indianapolis Star wrote an opinion piece on Mick Cronin, and he cited what was a long-standing rumor in college football. He sourced an Eastern Conference scout and a Western Conference scout that said Mick Cronin is the only coach in big-time college basketball that does not allow for videotaping of practices because he does not want any evidence of how he treats people behind closed doors.
Like his reaction to the foul that he did 2 nights ago was so over the top. Like, I don't even think it was a hard foul. I really don't.
He ejected his own kid for what he thought was an inappropriate foul that could have injured somebody who was trying to dunk with 5 minutes left in a game that they were losing by 30 points. And Tom Izzo says he's never seen a coach react that way to one of his players.
The kid, they're down by 30 points. The kid hustled all the way. Like, that was a hustle play.
2 guys did. 2 guys hustled down. So that's like good coaching right there.
It was a crazy reaction that definitely embarrassed the kid. I didn't like that at all. And then after the game, that nonsense there. That guy's a jerk.
He often embarrasses his own players.
Yeah.
He just called them not bright.
You see how shook that kid was when he was telling him to leave the court? I felt bad for that kid.
Are you raising your voice at me?
We're not just realizing that Mick Cronin's not like the greatest.
Okay, but I want to address something within that, right? Because there is a very obvious power shift happening and has been happening for 15 years. And the byproduct of all of the LeBron stuff, all the AAU stuff, all the players are being paid stuff is that Bill Self, okay, somebody who's used to having power, it seems like load management has now come to college as well because was it yesterday?
Yeah.
With Peterson where you've got one of the best players in the country. He is scoring 23 points in 18 minutes. He is making a 3, and then he's pointing to his coach and saying, take me out. And he's got people around him who are handlers who are more important to protecting the money that's around this kid than Bill Self. Bill Self might be used to being in control, but he's not in control of this situation. If you want the very best player, this is how Bill Self is going to start feeling after the game.
You guys have kind of had this a couple times now where Darren has a really strong first half and then isn't able to go the rest of the game. Just how have you sort of navigated that, and what challenges does that maybe present?
Well, we've had it more than a couple of times. I didn't anticipate that tonight at all. I thought he was good to go. But obviously we only got 18 minutes out of him. You know, that's disappointing because he could have had a really big night. But you know, one thing about it is it's happened often enough that our guys have learned to play without him, even though that's not the way we want to play. But that's certainly something that we're not unaccustomed to, you know, right now.
That's a really frustrated coach. Like you said, that's a coach who's used to being in control, not in a bad way, and who does not have control over when his best player wants to help his team win games.
I'd pull all my hair out. I'd flip my lid.
Great head of hair.
The thing about this, Bill Self, I think, is ground zero on Mike Ryan's expertise of accusing others of having prosthetics or work done. Bill Self is the starting point, I believe, on that. He originally accused, I think it was shocking to me the first time that Mike did it. I thought it was irresponsible journalism by him, but he's since made it a niche. When you say used to being in control, not in a bad way, I believe these coaches are used to being in control in a bad way. And I believe most of them are control freaks. And I believe that most of what's happening once you roll the balls out are out of their control. Most of the things that end up happening for control freaks, the daily frustration of, we planned all this, and now I've got a freshman who didn't do the thing that I asked him to do. I think it's exasperating for these control freaks to have less control than they've ever had, but especially if you're a formed person, like a formed coach and an established coach like Bill Self, where now, to be fair, Peterson's camp and Peterson say it's cramps. They don't say it's load management. They say it's cramps. And if it is cramps, it must be difficult to play with cramps. But I don't know if he risks further injury, and it doesn't exactly give off you're trying your hardest if you're not playing through stuff. There's an expectation in sports that you play through stuff so that the guy next to you can count on you, and they've got one of the best players in the country who can't be counted on to just play more than 18 minutes.
Yes, in sports, but not in basketball. College is supposed to train you for your next career, and he's absolutely being prepared for the NBA.
And if you're playing, you know, going to play in the NBA and developing to play in the NBA, there's something called the rookie wall where you get to a point in the first NBA season where you're like, oh my God, this is a ton of games. So not getting ready in college to play 40 minutes does not get you ready to play 82 games at the next level.
And to play against men?
Play against grown-ass men. To be fair, Kansas won by double digits.
Yeah, I mean, he's supposed to be a top pick in the draft coming up.
Maybe
he's
number
clearly
one.
A talented player.
I wouldn't pick him.
Well, but I also think, like, whether you don't want to pick him because you think that this is, bless you, whether you think that this is a actual cramping issue or not. Like, you can think he's load managing, but he's been out thus far this season with an ankle injury and an illness and a hamstring and cramping. What?
Jeremy, sorry, we have to laugh.
That was a wet sneeze.
It was a super
I saw
wet
it.
sneeze, yeah.
I think that their video's not going to be able to do this, but I'm pretty sure there was spray involved.
There was definitely spray.
And I've noticed over the last few years, I can tell when some people are about to sneeze. Jessica was a prolific sneezer around here. Tony has gotten very good at blowing whatever snot he has into the crook of his elbow.
I'm a Dracula sneezer, Dan.
But what just happened?
One thing I learned during COVID.
Put it on the poll at Le Batard Show. Are you a Dracula sneezer into your elbow? That's a good reference.
Thank you.
Ichabod Crane.
Trademark.
The thing that just happened to Chris Cody, though, he left the room. He sneezed. It was a wet spray of some sort. And then he left the room to get a tissue. It was a little bit disgusting. And we've got glass in front of us. Did you get anything on the glass? Like, how wet was everything next to you?
I caught it all in my hand.
Okay.
Oh. And I just went and washed my hand. What am I supposed to do there? I did everything right. I covered my mouth, caught it, and cleaned it. Shake my hand, Roy.
Yeah, play on for me.
Just cleaned it.
No.
That's following protocol.
Come on, Roy. Come on, Roy.
Shake his hand.
What are you doing? No.
You guys won't shake my hand?
If you want to spend more time with a smiling Roy on Sunday morning at 8 a.m., he's going to give you some bonus programming because we've got a live watch-along on our YouTube channel. Roy and Dwork and Ethan and Rose and all the members of the Hockey Show and whoever shows up from around here will be showing up at 8:10 a.m. Eastern. Hopefully, we have to be rooting for USA-Canada, correct?
Yes.
Anything other than USA-Canada is a wild disappointment, correct?
We can get that in the bronze, so don't worry. You can get Slovakia, Finland.
Come on. I saw you guys yesterday. You were living and dying you were rooting so hard against Canada.
I mean, yeah, because Canada is top to bottom more talented than the U.S., and, get them out of there, win a goal.
Don't you want to beat the best?
Sure, but if they would lose along the way, that's great, too.
If you can't beat them, join them, just like they'll do with us.
Thinking Big with Kevin Hart.
I'm very excited about doing this because this is a human being I'm very curious about. His insatiability, his conquering, his ability to be, I think I can say this, if not the most successful comedian in America, the most popular comedian in America. Usually stadiums don't get sold out. Kevin Hart, thank you for being here. I am really interested in finding out how you're built. Your friend Neil Brennan tells me, ask him about his past and you will understand why he can't stop working and why he will never stop working.
That's very true. Neil is a really good friend of mine. Great guy, too. I like Neil all around in general. He's just a good definition of a person. But, yeah, man, I'm on your platform. So I'm a firm believer in allowing people to be great. And you are good at what you do. So in this interview, be you. But if we can go as in depth as you want, what questions you have, you'll get great answers and great feedback. I'm here for the greater of good.
Okay, well, I'm happy to have you. So let's start, though, with your conquering. It seems like you are hell-bent on proving something with employees and worth and building and creativity. You want to be what? Like, it seems like you've arrived at what would be a destination for any comic.
I think that it's I can simplify it, right? I can simplify it. I think what some people tend to make extremely complex and difficult, I do a good job of making those things easy, right? For me, I look at it from a perspective of we all have an option in our life to do as much as we possibly can, right? And you can take that option and max it out, or you can do the minimum, or you can, do, I guess, what can be deemed to be the mid-level of whatever, right? But there's things that are put around us that do nothing but give us the opportunity to succeed and grow. And it's how you use those tools around you to basically be a version of your best benefit. And my tools that I've been able to form and put myself around are people, right? I've been around some really great people that have achieved a lot of amazing things in their lives and their careers. And in doing that, it's motivating. It's inspiring.
But have you met many like you? The Rock you guys seem to have like a common space where you both understand. Yeah, we want everything. We want everything. You've met a lot of people like that?
I've met a lot of people like that. I'm an entrepreneur, right? So an entrepreneur, businessman, a mogul, whatever you want to define it as. There's people that have multiple layers. There's people that want to do a lot of things. There's people that do a lot of things. There's a lot of companies that have been developed to
This episode of the Dan Le Batard Show is presented by DraftKings. DraftKings, the crown is yours.
I mentioned Mick Cronin undressing the reporter next to him. There's a reporter in Houston, John McClain. He has been working for 50 years in Houston, and he has said that he will walk naked through downtown Houston if the Texans trade CJ Stroud. He does not believe that CJ Stroud will be traded, and he believes it. This is going to go in the pantheon of bets that if he loses them, he's not going to pay them. There was that Seminole fan that promised to eat poop that didn't eat poop after the Seminoles lost, and you cannot betray your bets if you're going to say something like this. We are making arrangements for Greg Cody to walk to Seattle. He said that if the Mariners lost to the Blue Jays after being up 2-0, that he would walk to Seattle, and then the Mariners promptly lost to the Blue Jays. So we are going to make him honor that bet. David Sampson is with us now. He's giggling. This has to be either the worst or the best jacket in the entirety of his collection here. Before we get started, can you tell us what it is that you're going for in the general look at me of your jackets? Because there cannot be another jacket like that anywhere in the world.
Well, I didn't have it made for me, so yeah, it's a Robert Graham jacket that is part of the rotation. And if you look actually at the intro that was done by your great people at Meadowlark, one of the pictures in my intro to Nothing Personal, I'm in this jacket. So it's not the first time you've seen it. I would imagine, Dan, as the leader of the company, you've watched all of the shows.
You have a lot of ugly jackets, and I noticed one in the opening. I didn't think it was that particular Jackson Pollock painting. I thought, I've not seen a jacket like that before. I've never seen one like that.
Well, you're a Gaia Vera guy.
He's not.
Look at how he amuses himself with his terrible Spanish.
I said it in my brain first. I said, is it Vera? Is it Vera? Should I roll the R's and make Javier proud? Gaia Vera.
No, that's not.
Yes, nailed it.
No,
great job, Dave.
What is the name? How do you say in Spanish the breaded ham delight that is rolled up? How do you say that? The breakfast blank. You don't know what I'm talking about?
Me?
Yeah, well, yeah, you've said the word inappropriately before. Not inappropriately. You've said the word.
Oh, the croqueta.
That's it. You got it
Attaboy.
right. There you go. Look at that. That's really good. Yes, congratulations. A small victory for David Sampson. I have a number of different business questions and otherwise to ask you, but let's start with the Seattle Seahawks being sold immediately after winning the championship, being put up for sale. The Allen family estate, Paul Allen passed away in 2018. Can you explain to me what's interesting here to you?
Well, it happens to just be a coincidence because when Paul Allen died, his will said that my sports teams, and he had three of them, the Trailblazers, the Sounders, and the Seahawks, they will be sold for the benefit of a charitable trust. So all the proceeds are going to charity. But he left the timing up to his sister, Jody Allen, of when to sell, but it needed to be like in a reasonable time. She couldn't run the teams forever. Here we are 8 years later. The Trailblazers are under contract, and the Seahawks were not even put up for sale. And the NFL was like, hey, the succession plan, the will, it's time. And it just so happens they won the Super Bowl, and now they think that they're going to get this huge premium because, hey, they're a Super Bowl winner. So instead of being worth $7 billion, it could be worth $10 billion or $11 billion. And that's not really how buyers look at these assets. They don't look at the record the year before and say, oh, it's worth more or worth less. It really is a matter of what the ego premium is. But it's time for them to be sold, and now they've hired an investment banker, and they're going to be sold prior to the start of next season.
You don't believe that after winning a championship, you're selling high? You're selling at the highest point.
It's funny, I don't, because what you really try to sell is hope. Because the new owner comes in, what are the chances of going back-to-back Super Bowls where they could go another 10 years and not win, and they'd still be considered successful winning 3, in 25, 30 years? That's still pretty darn good. Just ask Dolphins fans. But no, when you're a buyer and you're looking at teams, not one time did it come up in selling of the Marlins, man, you guys didn't win 81 games. Your team is worth less. It's about what the revenue is, what the industry revenue is. The more exciting part for the Seahawks and the charities that will benefit is that there's new media deals coming to the NFL when Roger Goodell breaks all of his existing deals and renegotiates them, and that will lead to more money for all of the 32 teams, which will increase the value of all of them.
I want to talk about some Epstein files stuff with you, and I will remind people, as I always do with David Sampson, that he shies away from nothing on Nothing Personal. He talks about all of the difficult stuff that a lot of other people are not talking about because it's too complicated, and this is one of the things I've noticed isn't being talked about. So Steve Tisch, the owner of the New York Giants, has said that he had a brief relationship with Epstein, and it's at least come out since then in the reporting by the Wall Street Journal and others that it's less brief than he suggested. Now, the owner in a no-nonsense league where the commissioner is known for being tough on all manner of crime, the owner is supposed to be held to a higher responsibility than the players. But the only way any of this is going to happen is if the media flames climb on it and if the pressure climbs on it. And the only way the pressure can climb on it is if the NFL actually investigates whether there's more here. Otherwise, he can hide in the silence and claim that it's still brief. What do you do here if you're the NFL? Because I'm guessing Goodell just hopes this blows over.
Well, this is one of those examples where it's not like the NBA investigating the Clippers and Steve Ballmer and aspiration and trying to get people to talk to say, hey, what's going on here? Where can we find a smoking gun if one exists? What was the actual frame of mind with the Kawhi Leonard signing? This is different because all these files are now available on a website. They're available in public. And what you can then do is talk and interview Steve Tisch and say, here's what you wrote. We have it. What did you mean? You can say, what were the circumstances surrounding it? But clearly, the NFL is going to have to investigate, quote unquote, because this story is not going to go away. What's happening around so many people who are involved, not just in a cursory way in these files, because it's not about, quote unquote, being in the file. It's more about what were the circumstances under which you found yourself in the orbit of Jeffrey Epstein. What were you doing? Did you know what was going on? Number one. Were you a part of what was going on? Number two. Did you not just encourage but participate in the result of what was going on? Numbers 3 and 4. Those require an investigation, and Roger Goodell cannot get away without doing it. He may not do it publicly. It may not be hiring an outside law firm, but Steve Tisch is going to get punished. There is no question. He will not be involved in NFL activities. He will not be allowed to be involved in NFL activities. It's a matter of, is it a year or is it forever?
I have not heard that anywhere. I think that is something that you're saying that is stronger than I'm hearing anywhere, because I haven't even heard yet that the NFL is saying we have to investigate whether we're going to investigate. And the only way this climbs, David, is if there's media pressure or NFL pressure. Like, you seem convinced that something's going to happen here, and you're saying punitively something is going to happen. I'm not hearing that.
Yeah, Roger Goodell actually did say it right from the beginning that we're going to figure out what's here and then figure out if what's here is enough to investigate whether there's more here. So he has already come to the point of investigating whether to investigate, but it is all right there. And if you look at what the Wall Street Journal uncovered, it's really anyone can uncover it because it's literally available in public right now, much like stadium agreements, might I add. And so the NFL can't hide from it. And you talk about media blowing it up. I would tell you that there's not a next story here. This story is going to linger. And the question is who gets impacted by it and who doesn't. And the NFL has way too much at stake to be sidetracked by any sort of moral issue that could take place by a member of ownership of a team. So they've got to lop it off. And lopping it off isn't getting rid of the story. It's punishing the person involved and then moving on.
It's flabbergasting to hear that the NFL's threshold is higher than, the highest office in the land. It's on the NFL and sports and corporate America. You see what happens with Wasserman. Like, there are actual punitive measures for people emailing about these things and not named co-conspirators. Just yesterday, Les Wexner, a named co-conspirator, under oath, under threat of perjury, said, I've never been talked to by authorities about Jeffrey Epstein, but yet Steve Tisch is going to. And yes, I'm all in. If there's something that this investigation turns up more than we already know, and even for what we know, punish him. But it is wild to me that there are punitive measures for people on the fringes of this and not at the very top.
All right, David, let me ask you, when Mike mentions Wasserman so that I can explain this to the audience, okay? So Casey Wasserman owns a talent agency in Hollywood that he now has to let go because, from what I've read, and I haven't seen all of the details, but he had inappropriate texting, flirtations with Maxwell, Epstein's right-hand woman. And so the cause of everything around there that has made him sell his or put his agency for sale seems to be a bunch of artists are leaving and has put the business in jeopardy. But he has kept his position so far as the head of the LA Olympic Committee, but he is under a great deal of pressure to resign now. And to me, that was super weird that Wasserman and sports and the Olympics would have a standard. The Olympics, hugely corrupt, the Olympics would have a higher standard for what it is that must represent them, where there would be political pressure for Wasserman to step down from that position, and yet Trump's name is in the Epstein files more than 1 million times, and it somehow doesn't reach him. Explain to me what's happening there.
Well, you're conflating some issues, so let's talk about Casey Wasserman, and talk about what happened with his agency. He was not forced to sell. He made a decision. He owned 40%. He had a partner who had 60% of the agency already. And he said it's in the best interests of his employees, of his artists, of the people who are clients of the firm to not be a distraction. And so therefore, he is going to step away from the day-to-day management and allow for his 40% to be sold so that the company can continue on. That's been part of his family for generations. That's a decision that he made with eyes wide open in the best interests of the shareholders and the clients. Olympics is totally different. That's not a for-profit business by any stretch. That's about going around and getting all constituencies to give money, public and private partnerships. And what the Olympic Committee, and this is not the IOC, this is the U.S. Olympic Committee, said, hey, Casey is a great CEO. He's getting us ready and has for the last 10 years to host the Olympics in 28. The clock's ticking, and a change at the top at this moment would not be in the best interest of getting these Olympics and getting them done right. So it's two different thresholds in terms of what he is doing and what he's not doing, and I'm not sure that they mix ever.
David, LeBron might go into a farewell tour next year. There was a sports radio host in Cleveland who said that he did some reporting and learned that LeBron could get anywhere between 40 and 75 million in the streaming rights for his farewell tour, thus being able to take a minimum contract. So sort of a two-pronged thing. Would LeBron ever take a minimum contract? And also, is he allowed to sell streaming rights for his farewell tour?
So two things. Remember Shohei Ohtani's contract, Jeremy, where he's getting paid what you think is $70 million, but it's not. He's getting paid $2 million in cash by the Dodgers for 10 years, and then $68 million a year for the 10 years after that. And the reason Ohtani did it is that he's got sponsorship money as an active player, let's just roughly say of 68 million US. So it's as though he's getting 70 million current day cash. LeBron James, if you're going to get 60 million to play 82 games, well, not to play 82 games, but to be on a team, but you split it up with 2 million in salary from the team, but then you get 58 million from a streamer to be followed around with a camera like Philip Seymour Hoffman and Along Came Polly. For LeBron, it's the same amount of money, and it's a great product for his production company. I think it's a great move for him, and it tracks perfectly with an overstated retirement tour where financially he's actually the same, if not better off, and he gets something permanently cataloged for his kids, grandkids, and for his fans around the world. I think that makes sense to do a documentary about his final year.
I don't think there's any way Clutch Sports allows that. There's no way, because it's always about the players. The player needs to earn the most money possible. And even though, yes, in theory, we're being logical, David, where he's going to make the same amount of money that he would make if the NBA were paying him with his, sponsorship, streaming rights, whatever, that's not the way the Players Association looks at this stuff, right?
Yeah, but Zaz, it's a one-off. This is not someone in arbitration in baseball taking a number that impacts salaries for second-time eligible pitchers for the next 10 years, so therefore you can't do it. It's not a free agent who takes a discount at all. This is LeBron on a retirement tour, so it would not be used against any other players going forward.
But what is to stop somebody, because this is a salary cap sport, okay, unlike where Ohtani is. So what is to stop LeBron James from saying, hey, my retirement tour is going to be worth $100 million and it's going to be brought to you by Miller Lite?
In terms of salary cap, Dan, that's actually not an impact. That's not part of the rules. Players have the ability, if they're given access by the team, players can absolutely go ahead and do documentaries. They can have cameras follow them. They create their own content. That is totally fine.
But what's that worth? What's that worth, though? What do you believe the sports radio guy who said that he had talked to some executives? Do you believe? I think his retirement tour would have an enormous amount of worth, and I would think that he could get somebody to sponsor it the way that you would get a stadium rights deal on naming a stadium.
It's the reason I wanted to do the franchise. Of course, you think it's worth something to your team to have cameras and to catalog what you're doing and the drama, etc. So for any team that can get LeBron, but clearly we're talking about Cleveland here, and it would just be a perfect bow in his career, in his mind, to end with his hometown team. You're not going to see anybody complain about that, but it would not count toward the salary cap unless the team were somehow paying for the documentary. That's really the issue where you get into salary cap circumvention.
Stan Van Gundy says the following, quote, in order to correct and fix tanking, I'd get rid of the draft, no draft. You still have the salary cap. If you want to go give Cooper Flagg $45 million a year coming out of college, do it. He's a free agent. Everyone coming out is a free agent. With no draft, there's no incentive to lose. There's none at all. What are your thoughts there?
I've been calling for no draft for as long as I can remember. I've been calling for free agency every year for every player. Dominique does not like that because he wants guaranteed long-term contracts, and I understand why players want that. I want all one-year deals and the maximum, whatever a player can get. And there's a concern, well, the Dodgers could end up getting every rookie out of the draft. Well, no, there's only 26 slots, so the players would be distributed, and there would be the sort of the sales that goes into, hey, come play for us. There's opportunity, there's playing time, etc. I love Stan Van Gundy's concept, but I also don't mind tanking at all. I think it's not that I'm Mark Cuban, but it is an absolute proper strategy. As you all know, being in the middle is the wrong place to be.
David, what did you make of what Cuban said on Twitter a couple of days ago where, he thinks that fans not only should be more about embracing the tanking, but that the winning isn't what should be first and foremost on owners' minds. It should be about the fan experience, and that's what's the most important thing, and making tickets affordable. And I would just wonder as well, David, I thought it was interesting where he said in his 23 years as owner, he admits that the Mavericks, they tanked several times I mean, did Cuban lower prices those years? I feel like that's kind of a
No.
weird thing to say, you know?
I was smiling at that because if I had a bigger video department, I would have people come up with the video of every time I met the media in 18 years to say, hey, it's about the name on the front of the jersey, not the name on the back. It's about the experience with your employees, with your family, with your loved ones. No one remembers what the score was. They just remember going to the game. That is an old trope that's used by old people like Cuban and like me. But it's actually not true. We don't actually believe it. Winning is what people want. Winning is what matters. Winning is what helps your turnstile the following year. It's what helps you increase prices to sponsors and to fans. So it is true. The reason why there's tanking is owners and executives believe that is the quickest path to making the most money, which is to winning. And why be mediocre? Listen, haven't you guys talked about the Heat for the last number of years, always in the play-in tournament? And eventually you do what the Bulls do when they came out at the deadline and said, screw it. We're tired of being in the play-in tournament. We're going to be the worst, and then we're going to try to get back to being the best. And you're never going to legislate that away.
I do think that there's a middle ground, though. And I think the United States it's difficult because just the culture around American sports is it rings. It's a championship or bust, and I think that's a little unfair. You go over to places like in Europe where clubs don't have a shot at a title, and the fan has a large voice, and the fan experience is highly considered. Here in the States, minor league baseball, no one really cares if your team wins or loses. You care about having a good time, and I do think that American sports franchises could do more to ensure win, lose, or draw, the fan experience is going to be something that you're going to enjoy, and it's not so tied up in the result. I don't think that Mark Cuban is that far off the mark while still upholding a standard to your paying customer that, look, we're trying to win.
But just keep in mind that those days are past where in-game entertainment used to be such a huge part of sports. But the number of people who go to a game, it's so much smaller now than the number of people who engage in the game on TV, through streaming, or however else they're engaging with it, that you're finding more and more people like Unrivaled, the new women's basketball league that is partially owned by John Skipper, where they built a studio in Miami. Yeah, you put a couple thousand seats in, but at the end of the day, it is a TV product. They wanted to sell the broadcast rights. And when you look at the NFL, you can't argue to me when you see the numbers for a regular season game is greater than a playoff game in any of the other sports. It's about the people watching, not the 60,000 who are going. That's just the truth. And the dome, you want to know why they're doing domes in the NFL? It's not so that people can be comfortable watching the game. It has nothing really to do with that. It has to do with the quality of the game. And I don't agree, but the NFL didn't like Seattle versus Denver in the snow in the second half. I happen to love snow games. I think they're awesome because I'm a Green Bay guy, but that's what they're trying to avoid.
You guys have talked about this on the Sporting Class with John Skipper and Pablo Torre. Pablo's going to join us here in a little bit to talk about something that he just did that was sweet about Ronnie Cycley and Magic Johnson. But when you look at the business of sports, what would happen, David, if right now I took all fans, paying customers, out of the stadium? What kind of damage would be done? Because you guys are always making some form of the argument that it doesn't actually matter if the paying customer is in the facility, as long as they're watching on television.
Well, can we have actors there, or are you saying it would be like the COVID bubble?
I'm talking about the business of it. I don't care about the atmosphere. I'm just saying, how much does the paying customer actually matter if there are no fans in the stadium anymore and you're cutting out all of the money from concessions and paying tickets? How much does that matter?
It's interesting because it used to matter way more than it does, and it's the law of diminishing returns where it's mattering less and less, and that's the irony of all these new stadium arguments. Why do you think that the new stadiums now all involve ancillary development? Because new stadiums themselves are a losing business proposition. There are not enough events. There's not enough revenue, even for a baseball stadium with 81 games. For a football stadium with 8 or 9 home dates, forget about it. It's why that ancillary development matters so very much, because it's the only way to make the numbers work.
I want to get to what's happened and been remiss here in not getting to it with you. So the head of the Major League Players Association, Tony Clark, who was in that job for more than a decade, you're smiling. Before we get into the details of the scandal, which I assume is what's making you smile, because you love when labor gets betrayed by its leaders and there is scandal involved, what will be his legacy as a negotiator? Never mind just what's happened here at the end. His presiding over the players' union, which used to be the most powerful union in sports and one of the most powerful unions ever, what will be his legacy? Did he destroy that players' union?
No, that's too much. He was a players' leader. That's, you know how in sports there's a players' manager where they're just they're one of the guys. Tony Vitello of the Giants is trying to be that by shagging and doing drills with his players, and you want to be one of the guys. And then there's, the Buck Showalters of the world who are clearly not one of the guys, and you tend to go back and forth when you're hiring and firing coaches. That's what Tony Clark was. He was the guy who was looking out for player comfort, worried about game start times, worried about travel, worried about chefs in the kitchen, worried about all sorts of crap that owners didn't really care much about, and was willing to trade meaningful things in order to get these player comforts. He was a players guy. And I think now the players realize, and it's not about screwing his sister-in-law, whether that happened or not. The reality is that they are going to a much harder line stance on core economic issues, and that's why there's going to be a work stoppage. Having nothing to do with Tony Clark and scandal. The reality is you could have Bruce Meyer in there, who's the interim director, or you could have Mickey Mouse in there. The union membership has gotten to the point where they're less interested in comfort and they're more interested in allocation of dollars. And that's when fights happen.
As an owner's guy, though, what was your favorite kind of person to negotiate against? Was it the players guy like Tony Clark?
Yes, it's a dream. Baseball was not happy when Tony was let go in one regard, but the truth is Bruce Meyer was, the chief negotiator with Dan Hallam last time, but you had Tony Clark there with Rob and saying, hey, Tony, tell Bruce to relax. Tell him he doesn't know what he's doing. He's going to screw this all up. Now you, in theory, have no one above Bruce to calm Bruce down. And that's an issue for the game. And that's, I think, what fans should be more concerned about is there's no governor on Bruce Meyer any longer now that Tony Clark is gone. And he was the right type of governor for the game, meaning for the owners. And so that's what is a big concern.
You mentioned the most scandalous detail that everyone is looking at as it regards Tony Clark, which is the alleged affair with his sister-in-law. What are you shaking your head no about?
It doesn't matter. Okay. The number of people in the union or in management, et cetera, who have had affairs, it's silly. Anyone if you believe that Tony Clark was let go because he had an affair with his sister-in-law.
No, well, he resigned. Look, I don't know.
Laughable.
Okay, there was an investigation, but that is the detail people are seizing on in the resignation. But as a talk topic, we were discussing briefly yesterday something that feels like it would be in your wheelhouse, which is the greatest of the betrayals with the most consequences? Is it having an affair with your sister's husband, having an affair with your sister's wife, having an affair with your brother's husband, or having an affair with your brother's wife? Which is the greatest of the betrayals? I'm an ally.
Your brother's wife.
Definitely.
Would be number one.
Wife's sister.
Because you're brothers. No. Listen, if you leave a marriage to go to a same-sex relationship, like you leave for your brother's husband, and all of a sudden your wife is like, oh, all right, I had that one wrong. I sort of suspected but wasn't sure, but I can deal with that. If you ask a woman whose husband is left for another man versus another woman, every woman, and you can put it on the poll, would rather her husband leave for another man because it's far less personal or damaging.
Why are you guys berating Chris right now? Why is everyone
He's in a tough
berating
situation,
Chris?
Dano.
Yeah, Chris is
I'm married to a twin.
Yeah, so you're very clearly attracted to your sister-in-law.
Identical twin?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, good for you.
Good for you.
Who would know, Chris?
What do you mean good for you?
That can't be bad for him. Good for you.
He's got a point.
What do you mean it can't be bad for him?
It's a dream.
He just got berated by the entire.
Because I voted wife's sister's the worst, and they were all like, "Oh, I go."
Of course.
I don't like this combo. For Chris. For us, it's fine.
Before we get to your movie review, Robert Duvall passed away at the age of 95 earlier in the show. He's got a lot of great, memorable lines, historic lines. I don't know, it's probably not his best movie, but I love The Smell of Napalm in the Morning is a classic, and his best movie, I guess, has to be Godfather, although it's not. It is a starring role, but he is a lesser character in The Godfather. So do you have any memories or anything in the way of context on the way of what kind of actor historically Robert Duvall was?
Well, I'd like to do a top 5 Robert Duvall movies if you have time.
Sure. Do you have any OLI, or are we just going to go straight to the hard top 5?
We spend too much time on Cody's sister-in-law, so we got to go right to the number 5. Number 5 top Robert Duvall movies, Deep Impact. There is nothing like being washed away by a wave, holding Tia Leone's hand, although that wasn't his daughter. What a great movie. I'm all in on Deep Impact. That is the way to go. Number 4, The Apostle. Not many people saw it. He actually wrote it and directed it. This is a tour de force. That's an Adnan phrase. This is a movie worth your time, I promise, but not as good as number 3, MASH. He is. No, you put the TV thing up. What is that? For the audio audience, they're showing the TV cast. He was in the movie MASH, the Robert Altman movie playing Colonel Frank Burns. Sorry. Number 2. It's outrageous. Number 2, Apocalypse Now. For people looking for war movies, this is probably the number 1 war movie. You've got Deer Hunter, you've got Coming Home, you've got Platoon, you've got Born on the 4th of July, you've got Saving Private Ryan, you've got Black Hawk Down, you have Zero Dark 30. Apocalypse Now is the grandfather of all these movies, and Robert Duvall is the character in that movie to pay attention to. And the number 1 Robert Duvall movie, not even close, The Paper.
Not even close.
Wait a minute. So no Godfather? You're going with The Paper? Not even close above Apocalypse Now?
I don't have The Godfather as a Robert Duvall movie. He is in The Godfather, but that is a Marlon Brando movie. At least you can say it's a Diane Keaton movie.
What about
if you
Apocalypse
so choose.
Now?
He put that too. He put that.
I know, but that's a Martin Sheen
Al Pacino movie?
Martin also.
The Paper is a movie that does not get enough attention. It's directed by Ron Howard with Michael Keaton.
Oh, there they go. They got The Paper.
That is not The Paper. That is the TV show that you're showing. Thank you so much, video team. You guys are
that's
nailing
Mike
it.
Schur, The Paper. Yeah, that's Mike Schur's.
I'm happy for Mike Schur. It's a great series, actually, with Dom Gleason, who I love. But the movie The Paper, from whence it comes, is Glenn Close. It is Marissa Tomei. It is about actually 24 hours.
Tomei?
What you
Tomei.
Tomei?
Yeah.
Tomei? Excuse me. Thank you, Mike. I'm cooking here. It's you give me 22 minutes, I give you the world. That was the line when we were growing up in New York, believe it or not. You had to get the news every 22 minutes, and otherwise you couldn't. And this movie is Randy Quaid back before he was crazy. It's just one of those movies that you don't move for the entire movie. So check it out.
No colors.
I like that movie too. There's only 5. What do you want from
I know,
me?
but but you didn't even put the Godfather in there. There is only 5. You had OLI. Okay,
That's a Sean Penn movie.
Is it okay? Yeah, fair enough. It is a Sean Penn.
He also
movie.
wasn't a wartime consigliere. Hated the way I said that.
You say it again? Oh, there he goes.
Let's cut that up.
He's leaving?
Bye.
He's leaving. All right, hold on a second. Let me get this, get the penalty right. I'm sorry.
Minor penalty, 2 minutes for leaking confidence.
One of the things that I love best about Tony is his general trouble with words.
That's a hard word.
It is a hard word, but he had no confidence on the second syllable, and it looked like a speed bump to him, and so it became consigliere. with a question mark.
Ooh, that pause.
I mean, that's his pause. That's not my pause.
Yours was scary.
I was doing an impersonation.
Before we leave, Dan, I want to. You guys talked about the gold medal game in men's hockey. I think we have to mention the gold medal game in women's hockey because there's a real live heated rivalry going on where there's a relationship between a female USA player and a female Canada player, and they broke up. They're breaking up before the game. They could have had heated rivalry. They could have gone against each other, and they decided to end it before the gold medal game. And now I'm not going to watch because I'm so despondent about that.
But now it's an actual rivalry. Like, I saw these rumors on TikTok, David, that this couple had gotten together and now broke up in the final stages of the Olympics. And that's an even better plot than you could have written, in the idea that now it's an actual rivalry. These aren't people who like each other. Now they hate each other, and they're squaring off for the gold medal. I can't think of anything better.
Oh, I want to beat my sibling way more than I want to beat a stranger. I want to beat my spouse. I want to win a competition against my spouse way more than I want to against my ex. So I happen to think that the rivalry is greater if they're together. That's the whole heated rivalry show.
You want to beat your spouse?
I think I'm good, right?
Yeah, Tony's off.
After what just happened there?
Luckily, Dan, I don't have a spouse.
Put it on the poll at Le Batard Show. In a rivalry, do you prefer to beat... Wait a minute, no. Do you prefer to beat your spouse in competition than a stranger? I don't think that's true.
This was a good idea.
I don't think that's true. I don't think that... Why would you want to beat your sibling in a competition more than a stranger? I would think...
Wow.
You think that... You think that Venus Williams and Serena Williams, they would rather play against each other and beat each other than beat a stranger? I don't think that's true.
No, they hated playing one another. That's why the matches were always bad.
That doesn't mean they didn't want to win. I just happen to think that when you're competitive, this is what you do.
Let me hear Tony's mistake again.
He also wasn't a wartime consigliere.
So he swallowed the N and put the G before the N?
He also wasn't a wartime consigliere.
Sounded like Cug Sig.
I'm going to do this again.
Didn't sound like what Dan almost said.
2 minutes for leaking confidence.
You can't kick me out again when I did it myself.
I am kicking you out because you did it yourself. You don't make the penalties around here. When you don't get to decide.
That's how I do it, though.
Well, that's how you did it. Now I'm doing it to you this way.
Sounded like he was talking about Zaz and Cuxiliary.
He also wasn't a wartime consigliere.
Both of you get out of here.
Wow. It was an effort.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
I was doing a limited fake, like when you almost said the C word.
Look at you now.
We checked down first.
Look
They
at
said
you now.
went around.
I was doing it. All right.
See you later, David. Thank you. The name of the podcast is Nothing Personal. It is exceptional. There is nobody doing what he is doing in the space, trying to tackle all the toughest stuff by himself with Coca.
I want to beat my spouse.
He'll say edgy things on Nothing Personal.
I want to beat my spouse. Thank you, Dan.
Were you laying the pipe at 14, Ollie? Into my palm.
What do you got?
Looks like Cowboy is nutted. I just felt the slurping spoke for itself. You know.
There's a shocker.
Slurp them if you got them.
Crime scene. I think those are those anal beads right on the front of the brim?
Insane.
First off,
who's the button right now? Sorry.
Far be it from me to try to get us on the rails.
What's the problem?
I don't think they are. Let's just leave it at that. I don't actually. I've never seen them. I don't know what they look like. Never used them.
No, it's not cash. Yeah.
Ooh.
Hold on. What was that?
I did clock that myself.
Where did that come from?
But you know, it's been a long session.
Oh my God.
Perhaps a little purge.
A little crop duster.
Close.
And I realized, by the way, the custodian's show name, they're the shipping container, but I think
1,500.
Maybe we found a new one. Not sure if.
You're right.
You mean to tell me this whole time
Le
you've been
Batard will
referring
agree.
to them as
My guy Lido's
something that is not what they're called on the show?
Kicking your
That's
asses.
correct, Ellie.
What's 56,000 between friends? Right?
Nick's
We're all
trying
friends
to sell
here.
it. I love this from Nick.
Yeah.
Just stay quiet. You've said enough.
Give me the money.
Oh, and he got him to call.
Wow. Wow.
Nice hand.
Thank you.
150,000.
Yeah, make sure I'm right. Wow.
Heading over to Nick Wright.
Spasiba.
He is now up more than 100,000 in this game. The custodians.
Yeah.
The Le Batard. The crew.
They're loving this.
Big payday coming, fellas. Hang in there.
Don't ride the broom.
I'm telling you, hang in there.
You know about that beatdown? Woo! Domino's about to catch that beatdown. Yeah, I'm hungry for lunch. I'm gonna order some Domino's. Zaslow 316 about to whoop your ass. He's gonna feel that sting, that kind of thing. I didn't come all this way to play patty cake. Wrestling's my life, baby. Yeah.
Why did you need a bald cap?
What? Because Stone Cold's bald. Don't you understand?
You talked a lot of shit, and I just saw some great video in the other room that we have not even shown yet. I just saw Chris Cody. You surprised me. I again underestimated you, and you really you became Daniel Day-Lewis. You really got into character.
Razor Ramon. I was doing that all. I must have done it 100 times.
We know. We saw it.
I know. I imagine that your quads and your hamstrings are achy today because you haven't
barking.
You haven't hopped around like that in a while. But I did see some video of you breaking a bottle over the head of Domino.
Spoiler alert!
That video is going to be so good tomorrow. There's so much more.
Literally punctuates the entire video.
It's going to be good.
The worst.
Okay. I'm sorry. They showed me some video. I didn't know that. How am I supposed to
We can't show you anything.
How am I supposed to know that that's the best of what you had when I've seen a lot of good footage? So okay, spoiler alert. When you watch the wrestling video tomorrow, it ends with Chris Cody breaking a bottle over the head of Domino.
You'll see. The point is there's a lot more content than what you saw yesterday. That's the point.
That is the point. Pablo Torre joins us now, speaking of content, and Jeremy was just raving about how good a job he did on this story with Ronnie Cycley.
I can't wait to see this. I love Ronnie Cycley.
Are you bleeding more?
It does seem like that.
Man,
it
really?
seems like he's got an open wound. Yeah, it seems like things are getting worse with his face and head than they were before. Pablo, thank you for making time for us. Pablo Torre Finds Out is the name of the podcast. I was very disappointed. Before we get into the meat of what this was, the initial reaction, I don't know if you're worried at all about this as a national perception, but when I came in here yesterday and I told the group, hey, Pablo's doing something on Ronnie Cycley for tomorrow, the entire group was like, oh, no. The reaction was, no, don't let Pablo Torre near our beloved Ronnie Cycley.
He's one of the good ones.
The reaction, what did Ronnie Cycley do that was
people
wrong?
out of real estate.
And I don't like this reputation you're getting. Your show has a great deal of range. You do a lot of different things. It shouldn't always be, oh no, Pablo's around. What's going to get desecrated? Who's going to get unmasked? Who's going to get shamed? I don't like what's happening around you.
It did take a year for us to publish this episode, in part because we've had the difficulty of trying to convince people, hey, look, we also pick people that we want to stand by and hold up as friends of the show and also people that we think are worth celebrating. And the hope, as you were alluding to, Dan, is that if we say this is a story you got to hear, it could be because the person in it is guilty, allegedly, of various things. In this case, I'm happy to report that Ronnie Cycley is a total mensch. It is amazing. And that's part of the whole palate cleanser premise of this story is there are so many horrific people that we end up profiling and talking about. And in many ways, I was just watching the video of Sean Strickland, right? The MMA guy who's saying things that are just even making the people who want to be rebellious feel okay, that's too far. You shouldn't be saying that about Bad Bunny and gay people in 2026, all this stuff. Ronnie Cycley is the opposite of that. I didn't plan for Sean Strickland to say all those things, but Ronnie Cycley, in a fun, genuine, authentic, and ultimately, for the first time, public way, is the person I wish more people were like, because he rules. And I would like to give him our stamp of approval and not, again, a red flag that says stay away from him.
I want to get into the entirety of this particular story, but I will tell you that Ronnie Cycley, very early in my journalism career, after he was traded from the Heat, gave me one of my most memorable quotes I've ever gotten from an athlete. When he was talking about Louis Chaffel and Miami Heat ownership, he said, Louis Chaffel is someone who lies is a snake who lies so much that he lies even when he just says good morning. You found him uncommonly honest, correct? It's not just that he's a mensch, it's that he speaks his mind, and he was progressive long before it was popular to be progressive, and he's on the right side of history when it comes to Magic Johnson, obviously.
Oh, but then the through line is he's fearless. Ronnie Cycley was the guy I knew from NBA Jam. I had his trading cards, He was a guy, of course, who was known as a big man who played in Miami and then for a bunch of teams, a journeyman of sorts. But the dude is fearless. And this is not a story, to be very clear, about moralizing about the right side of history, even though Ronnie Cycley is more on the right side of history than pretty much any athlete that plays or has played that I can recall when it comes to the issue of, and I don't want to become the guy who makes it serious all of a sudden when it comes to an issue that lots of us learned through Magic Johnson, which is HIV and AIDS. You know, this was a time in sports in the NBA that we all think we know because Magic gave this speech, right, in 91. And Dan, you remember this. I mean, Dan, what was it like to be a working sports writer in 91 and to see Magic Johnson get up there and say, I have HIV. What was it like?
Oh, my God. It's one of those moments, the rare ones, where you remember exactly where you were because something just shifted at the center of sports and society, where we all thought that Magic Johnson, in coming to the microphone and announcing his retirement, was also announcing that he was about to die.
Yep.
That's what the feeling was.
That's how I felt as a kid watching it. I remember exactly where I was finding out and watching it, and that was, oh, Magic Johnson is telling us he's going to die.
And the crazy part, among many crazy parts of the story, which I didn't know and which Ronnie Cycley has never talked about in depth until this moment, until this episode, is that, okay, you may recall that Magic Johnson was also so popular simultaneously that he was leading the All-Star voting, despite that, right? In parallel with that. And so Magic Johnson, while he is being projected by everybody to die, and Karl Malone is out here saying, I don't want to touch him, and HIV AIDS, what is that even? Everyone kind of sounds like Donald Sterling in that clip that we've all heard before, right? Like, he's got AIDS, right? Like, everybody's just saying that. They don't know the difference. They don't know how it's transmitted. It's a moral panic and a genuine fear of this disease. And what happens is Magic Johnson wants to prepare to play potentially in this All-Star game. And David Stern backstage, as Jack McMullen explains on this episode, is saying, we need Magic to be ready to play in this All-Star game. David Stern was also ahead of his time in that regard. But the question of how this all turned was, it's the question of why did Ronnie Cycley do the thing he did, which is randomly at a pickup game, pregame, he was out injured. Magic Johnson obviously was out as well. Ronnie Cycley challenges Magic Johnson, who is he's a leper, right? He's beyond that. He is somebody that no one wants to be around, physically touch, no one wants to be around him. Ronnie Cycley does the thing that breaks the seal, and he says, let's play one-on-one. And he does it in private, in front of a tiny audience of people, several of whom we interview in this episode. And this is the thing that opens people's eyes as to, oh my God, first, what is he doing, right? There is the panic around what is Ronnie Cycley doing? And what he ends up doing is changing Magic Johnson's life. And Magic Johnson has only spoken about this a couple of times, but he has referenced it as this moment that was a turning point at his absolute lowest. Ronnie Cycley was the guy, for seemingly no reason, who said, let's play one-on-one. And they did. And the question of this episode that we go on to solve and investigate is like, why the hell was Ronnie Cycley the person to do it? And that's where his current life as a DJ, the world's largest DJ, as you guys know, in Miami, that's how his love of music and his love of house music and his love of a culture that was personally experiencing HIV/AIDS in the 80s and 90s before the rest of mainstream America, and also his own personal relationships with people who lived and died from that disease, family members who did. That's where it all comes together in a way that I had no idea about.
Pablo, Karl Malone's comments back then were very well known when Magic was going through this. I don't remember hearing about this Ronnie Cycley story back then. Was this a known thing?
It was pretty much unknown to everybody. It's been written about once. Jack McMullen wrote a book with Larry Bird and Magic Johnson when the game was ours, and it's a paragraph on one page that's passingly referenced. Ronnie Cycley had never talked about it in public in depth. Magic Johnson mentioned it once at this anniversary about his speech, his announcement, the 20-year anniversary. And no one has, I didn't know about this. And of course, part of what's great about this story, right, is that some stories take a long time to report because the people in them, and this is the rarest thing, Dan, right? The people in it are not here to promote it. Magic Johnson wasn't trying to make this a whole big deal. And even more amazing, Ronnie Cycley wasn't. This was not a thing for the public. This was a thing behind closed doors in private that he did as a gesture because it meant something to him in a genuine way. And the only way, I mean, look, and we're all guilty of it, right? Like, in the era that we live in, if you're not talking about it publicly, it doesn't exist. Ronnie Cycley did this for Magic Johnson, and that's it. And it took him, it happened in 92. It took him a quarter century to eventually talk about it with someone.
Let's play a clip here from Ronnie Cycley in his own words.
I just walked up to him and I said, "Do you want to play one-on-one?" And he looked at me kind of like not sure if I was joking or not. And he was like, "Sure." And I said, "I'm not going to take it easy on you. I'm going to push you. I'm going to shove you. And we're going to go at it." And he looked at me. It was like as if it was Christmas and this kid got a brand new present that he wanted, that he's always wanted. His eyes just lit up and he looked at me. He was like, "Let's go." I wanted him to feel human and not like an amoeba. Yeah. Like everybody wants to be away from him. I wanted him to feel good about himself. I wanted other players to see this. And I take that to my grave, that I was able to put a smile on somebody's face that doesn't necessarily need it with all his fame and fortune, everything that he's done in his life. But in that moment, I put a smile on his face. And that's the most important thing for me.
The most important question I have is, who the hell was that person sitting in my chair?
Okay, so I didn't do a great job setting up the clip.
They cut. I was expecting to see Pablo.
That is white me. That is otherwise known as Foster Kammer. He is a writer, contributing writer to the New York Times. He is somebody who is a music writer, who's a house music expert. We got a music guy to do a DJ story, and he was like, "Actually, I think there's something else here." And it's this larger story, it's a lost chapter in sports history. And so in my attempt, Dan, to use your money to revitalize a bizarro, kind of stone version of 60 Minutes, we have a stable of correspondents, and Foster knocked this out of the park, man. We worked on he waited more than a year to publish this because, spoiler alert, the one person that we could not get in this episode, much to my chagrin and due to no lack of effort from my part in terms of stalking him, was Magic Johnson, who I think may be irritated that on our show we previously exposed who really does his tweets. We did an investigation as to who tweets for Magic Johnson. And so going through the woman who tweets for him to get permission to talk to Magic for this story from Pablo Torre finds out. Again, they weren't exactly throwing their doors open to us either. And so we had to do a bit of a report around.
Did you try to sneak in to his box at Dodger Stadium?
I don't like the way that this is now being circulated. It seems like I was trespassing. But I did stand within a mid-range jumper's distance behind Magic Johnson at Dodger Stadium. I was in LA. I went to the Dodger game. He's part of the Dodgers. And I was about to ask him to participate in this episode when I was thrown out of the section by security.
All right, so thrown out of the section by security does suggest trespassing.
Well, I think there's a legal question there that I assume, Dan, we will use our lawyers' billable hours to prosecute if it ever comes to that.
I am so tired of seeing our lawyers' billable hours because of the work that you're doing. Ronnie Cycley is going to have the distinction for about 6 hours of being the biggest DJ in electronic music to ever be in the studio. But Diplo is going to be here later today to do a South Beach session. So how does Ronnie Cycley fit in this world? What part of this story is Ronnie Cycley's music career, which I think is more lucrative now than his basketball career?
Definitely.
I mean, look, I'm going to defer on the DJ economy to Mike Ryan, but the premise of this story is that Ronnie Cycley is legitimately an accomplished DJ. Like, he plays all of these festivals. The way the story started was Foster saw a flyer for this very high-end music festival in Brooklyn, and Ronnie Cycley was at the bottom. And when I first saw Ronnie Cycley's name, this was years ago when I was in South Beach hanging out with you guys, I was like, oh, someone had ironically named their band Ronnie Cycley, And it turns out that the dude is, we play some of his music, and the music explains his psychology. The music and the history of house music specifically, which is played in these clubs. It started in Chicago, really, this locus of queer culture in which people are dancing and people are dealing simultaneously with HIV/AIDS. Ronnie Cycley, ahead of his time, was befriending the outcasts in music, and then becoming one of them as a DJ. And so why Ronnie Cycley? It goes to the fact that he's legit in this world in ways that I thought were a joke, but are apparently quite sincere and quite real.
Is there any particular reason that you're joining us from what appears to be an antiseptic can of some sort?
You don't like the decor of the can? I'm in the heart of the liberal media, Dan. I'm at the MS Now
I knew
offices. And they didn't give me a room, so I snuck into one. And so I'll just I'm not even supposed to really be here. This is.
All right. Well,
they don't know I'm in here. I guess I'm hiding.
All right.
And doing my journalism.
Let's talk about the not liberal media before I let you go here, and the mess going on at CBS, where Colbert is leaving in May, and something that he just did here recently against the advice of his lawyers is, basically telling CBS, what are you going to do? Fire me, as he's doing whatever it is that he wants. And as Anderson Cooper leaves 60 Minutes, and it is clear that the mainstream media is so replete with conflicts of interest that you have one of the great empires in network news right now falling apart in front of our eyes with an assortment of corporate conflicts. What do you have for us on this subject? Because it's painful to watch what's happening around 60 Minutes at what used to be a mainstream institution that you could count on for at least attempting objectivity and fairness.
Yeah, it's left a real wide open lane for independent journalism to come in and actually try to hold powerful people, very wealthy people, to account. We just interviewed, I was just doing the morning show here, Morning Joe, and we had James Tallarico, the Texas state representative, who Colbert interviewed and was not allowed to air the broadcast of on network television on the show. And we were talking to him about this. And one of the things that immediately became obvious was this was such an enormous win for him. Right? Millions more people ended up seeing the video that they had to post on the internet because he became this target of the FCC, which Donald Trump has used, as he does every branch of government, every would-be regulatory agency, to just serve his own particular purposes. And so the through line here, we're at this moment, and this is beyond just liberal stuff, right? We're at this moment where there is such clarity around corruption, around billionaires, around Silicon Valley, around people at the very top. And if you choose to service the president of the United States, he may give you in these quid pro quo arrangements, these transactional arrangements, benefits and pardons and favors. But in terms of what's popular, right? Why are millions of people watching these clips? Why, when it comes to the Epstein files, are millions of Americans sort of waking up to realize, oh my God, when Pam Bondi is being questioned in Congress about all of this stuff, and she can't even get the words out about the Dow, how we should focus on the Dow instead of these victims, these female victims who are right behind her in that room. People realize it's because she is servicing one person at the expense of an entire population of people, an entire audience of Americans from both sides of the aisle. And so CBS is caught in this very awkward position of needing the protections of the president via the quid pro quo system, the transactionality of him granting favors via the FCC, via the ability to merge with other companies, Paramount, Warner Brothers, etc. But in the meantime, they are losing audience. And they're losing, more important than that even, the confidence of a public that, frankly, says, you guys are lying to us because we're not so stupid anymore. And that's the part where there's a real opportunity. And that's what CBS is opening the door for, is for people to call them out on it and call the administration out on servicing one guy at the expense of an entire country.
The folks who listen to this show have heard me lament the idea that I don't really believe that a whole lot of people understand what it is that Meadowlark Media is aspiring to be amid this climate. I do believe that this audience and its allegiances are, at least in part, because they do appreciate what it is that Pablo and we are trying to do at a time where a whole lot of people are compromised and conflicted. You talked with David Remnick of The New Yorker and Ezra Edelman, who did the O.J. Simpson documentary, about what specifically is happening right now at The Washington Post. Can you take us through what you thought were the most interesting parts of that conversation as you watch these entities like CBS and Washington Post not have the wherewithal for what the present moment demands?
Yeah. So what we're doing at Meadowlark, right, is saying, what if we use this money to create frankly, a coalition of people who will use journalism to hold the most wealthy and therefore dangerous people in this country to account? And so it is incredibly gratifying to have David Remnick, the editor of The New Yorker, and our grumpy friend Ezra Edelman, who's the greatest documentarian of our time, basically come into your studio, Dan, in New York and have this conversation. It's very clear what's happening. I mean, Remnick, who studies not just Russia, but also the Washington Post as a former employee, he, funny enough, was like, a branch on the Tony Kornheiser coaching tree, that dead sports section. He used to work there. What he points out is that you don't need to be some incredible media incisive analyst to point out that this is Jeff Bezos. Like the Melania documentary, which Remnick watched, which is hilarious. They sold novelty buckets like it's Dune. They sold novelty popcorn buckets for the Melania movie. The Melania movie is not a movie. The Melania movie is basically like crypto is. It is a way to transact and to funnel money from one private enterprise to our government. And the reason that's meaningful and why Ezra was also in the room is because, of course, that is corruption wearing the disguise of media. That is corruption wearing the disguise of a documentary. Right? It's in the Washington Post, corruption wearing the costume of a newspaper.
I don't think people can tell the difference. I don't think enough people can tell the difference. I think that's what's happening with the ability to take a hatchet to all of it with just the two words fake news.
Well, and that's why you need people who will say it explicitly without also, hopefully, forgetting that this needs to be also entertaining and fun. Right? Like, that's why, everything I do with this and that you have funded is the premise of this is important, but could also be a thing, a ride. Right? And what's more fun to me, at least as a journalist, than like exposing as if you are a detective in a movie, perhaps about the Washington Post, All the President's Men, in which you are aiming up. You're not aiming left or right. You're aiming up. And the detective dynamics of journalism and the willingness to say, this is what we found, this is why it matters, and hoping, maybe it's the last hope we have, that this will hold something to account. Clarity, right? Clarity is so important. And if you don't say it, if you don't defend the terms, right? What do journalists have? We have vocabulary, right? We have to defend it. This is what a documentary is. It means you're independent from the subject. You're using journalistic depictions to tell a story, right? That's why OJ Made in America. Why is Ezra on the show? Because that thing, OJ Made in America, is a North Star for everything. It's incredibly dense and historical and serious. It's also incredibly fun to watch, right? You get everything in it. It's a yes and sort of dynamic. And so with this, how can you define the terms of what journalism is so it can't be worn as a costume? It may be insufferable to non-journalists, but I promise you it's really important, because otherwise you're just going to be at a costume party full of people who are trying to rob you. And that's otherwise what's happening in America right now.
Last point on what the latest story is that Pablo Torre digs into, because it's not all negative stuff. It's not all gotcha. It's not all about the clicks. Rudy Gobert is, when we do word association, for me, the start of the pandemic. How are David Stern and Ronnie Cycley the start of the change in how it is that people viewed HIV?
Yeah, people didn't know about what this was. I was 6 years old in 1991, and I remember learning about HIV because of Magic Johnson. The power of sports is that it has all of these people in the audience who are not looking for the thing that is otherwise being presented to them as vegetables, right? That's kind of the theory of what we're doing here right now, is you come to this for the sports and then you realize, oh my God, these people in sports, they're these humans who have problems and glorious successes and weird idiosyncrasies. And in Magic Johnson's case, it was him having HIV. And so you learn about it through that. And the question becomes, as we look to the NBA right now in questions of leadership, how do you handle as a commissioner various crises? David Stern dealt with the most famous HIV positive person in America being his most beloved player, right? Magic in 91, leading All-Star voting at that same time. And David Stern's response backstage, right, in private was, we are going to protect Magic Johnson as an NBA player. We are not going to write him off as if he's already dead. We're going to find a way, based on the science available to us, to make this so that people understand Magic Johnson should not be an outcast. He's a member of our sport. And it's so easy now to not do that. It's so easy to be safe about all of that. And David Stern wasn't. And David Stern had many issues, but his top-down power to enact change, he had the courage of his convictions, and he was on the right side of history. And that's how Ronnie Cycley enters the story. That's how, frankly, we get from a place of total ignorance about what HIV is to now a place where when we see a Sean Strickland at an MMA press conference being the most bigoted, just like, least creative version of a bigot you've seen when it comes to gay people in America, you have some counterweight because there were people who stood on the other side of this long before it was safe to do it. And that's what, again, the power of sports can be.
Pablo Torre finds out it's exceptional. Check out his latest story. Before we let you go here, I want to include you, though, on a lighter sports conversation that now Jeremy, Mike Ryan, and Tony seem to be agreeing about, and it's beginning to bother me that they continue to get momentum on this. They all seem to believe that Jason Tatum is going to make the Celtics worse when he gets back. There's some hope in there, but also they have convinced themselves, and I don't want to speak anymore for you guys, so make the argument, because it's been bothering me that you guys have been, Jeremy has been getting allies on this. He's been collecting allies in the room, and Mike and Tony seem to be on his side. I don't know where Zaslow stands on this right now.
I think they will 100% when Jason Tatum resumes playing regular minutes on that team, have an acclimation point where they try to readjust to Jason Tatum's usage rate. We've seen players that are elite and considered elite be dropped into the playoffs after a long layoff and struggle to catch up and throw off team chemistry. I think this is actually more commonplace than people realize, and it shouldn't be considered a hot take. That should be the norm. That should be what we expect. And if Jason Tatum somehow surpasses that expectation, it's a credit to him and it's a credit to that team. But I don't think it's hot takey at all. It's only natural.
We absolutely went through it down here in 2001 with Alonzo Mourning and the Miami Heat. That was a good Heat team. Anthony Mason was the best player. It was his only All-Star year.
It wasn't a champion Heat team. They lost in the first round and couldn't handle Jamal Mashburn.
Third ally.
They could not have been a championship team. They were not a championship team. They were an Anthony Mason-led team, and Anthony Mason didn't want Zoe back. Zoe made them worse. Not Jason Tatum, not a champion.
Right, but so I would also add to it, while I do think that it could wind up having the Celtics take a step back, because it's going to be hard to acclimate that player back when you have Jaylen Brown, who has taken over that role, and then depending on how quickly he gets back before the playoffs, to just throw that player out there in postseason action is going to be difficult. But you obviously do it if you're Boston, because I'm sorry, the Celtics are a fun story. They're number 2 or 3 in the East right now. They have no chance currently constructed to be a championship team. Jason Tatum, best case scenario, allows them to be a championship team.
Pablo?
This is some of, you guys are just doing reverse psychology. That's what's happening here. You want the Celtics to hear this and be like, maybe those guys in that shipping container are right. Maybe we should hold off on returning, the custodians. Maybe the custodians are right. Maybe we shouldn't have Jason Tatum play for the Celtics when he comes back before the playoffs. That's what the suggestion here is.
Quit being so typical liberal media twisting our words. No, we're saying there's going to be an acclimation point, and that should be the expectation. Stop trying to make it a hot take. Stop trying to be like Mike is saying they're worse with Jason Tatum. You can be the judge after it plays out. I'm just saying it's only natural that they will struggle when he gets reinserted into that lineup. This is not a hot take.
I'm just worried about the personalities for them. Jaylen Brown is a wide receiver personality who's going to be top 5 in MVP voting and is posting infographics of how he has played versus how Jason Tatum has played for the Celtics. And I'm just saying, the first time that Jason Tatum takes a step back long 2 for a potential game winner as he's double covered and misses it where he pushes off with that right arm, Jaylen Brown might not be okay with it, and then all of a sudden things might fall apart. That's all I'm saying.
I just feel like it's probably worth pointing out that Jason Tatum's like a 6-time All-Star who's a first-team All-NBA player. The problem with Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown, though, where you guys have a lane politically speaking, is that they don't really have they don't have stands. There are no Jason Tatum stands. There are certainly no Jaylen Brown stands. They're hiveless largely, and that's an issue for them. But they also won a title together. So again, I'm just a little bit lost on what's happening.
I think, though, that what might happen, that they're going to feel validated on their point, is that Jason Tatum comes back, and because they don't have what Porzingis and Drew Holiday were doing, all of a sudden they're not as good as they were when they were champions. They'll be better than what they are presently with just Jaylen Brown and Derek White. But
fourth ally!
But all of a sudden they're going to be able to make the argument because they're not championship, or they're not as good as OKC.
I just when Mike was saying you can be the judge, that you're holding your take with tongs like it's a diaper, you don't want to own the take. Just own the take. The take is
it's my take.
Jason Tatum makes both of you guys can hold this. Okay,
I'll take it without tongs.
Are you telling me to say it with my chest and say what I mean, fella? I would like you to pipe down, fella.
He said you're holding your take with tongs like you would a baby diaper, that you're afraid to present it in public as yours. In fact, when he accused you of it, you pointed at Jeremy.
All right, cool. Jason Tatum sucks. I've never been a fan of his.
Thank you.
And he doesn't have stands because he himself is a stan. He is a Kobe stan, just a worse version. There you go.
Finally, we got the right and accurate and honest, transparent.
Are you telling me you look at this face, you don't think I'm being honest? Look at me.
Pablo, good work. Thank you, sir. You continue to crush it. We appreciate the work you're doing. I will continue to remind everyone here and listening, it is not my money. It is our money. We are owners in this company. Our money. Stop saying it is my money. Thank you.
I appreciate that. And Zaz looks like how various NBA owners wish I looked. So I appreciate our money being used for my legal defense in the future.
Go back to hiding in the labyrinth of the liberal mainstream media the way that you're hiding in an antiseptic can. Pablo Torre Finds Out is the name of the podcast. I want to put it to poll and make it official. Does the audience want the shipping container name to be changed and promoted to custodians? Because you guys seem to like custodians better. You guys seem to think that this is something that is a promotion, that to become a custodian
just freshens it up a little.
Yeah, because
new.
You keep saying shipping container, which is awfully convenient because the entire official term is shipping container full of frightened refugees. We have since moved from that place, and the frightened refugee thing, not playing with the base.
Jeremy didn't know that?
Yeah, the history of this
There's no way you didn't know
when
that.
we were at the Clevelander, they were in such a small tin can far away from me that I can just see that they were frightened. And it was a different time
Scary
in America.
times.
Yeah, things have changed.
Different cast. Custodian me.
Okay, so really? So are you all voting for it? You're viewing this as a promotion as well? Oh, Tony's making a sour face as if he smelled something
I don't know
bad.
if it's a promotion.
You would.
I think we just play it out next couple of weeks, see if it sticks. We don't force it.
Sometimes in pro wrestling, you got to change up your gimmick every now and then. You got to freshen things up a little bit. I know, but I'm like a pro wrestler, actually.
You got your ass beat.
You win some, you lose some, Tony.
That is what happens in wrestling. Lately, our highlight team, the one that we own together, but Chris and Mike are the public faces of, and Chris and Mike are the GM of the year. They are the reigning champions. The Cyclones return to work at 3 o'clock for a matinee here, and we have some highlights or J-alites that I like to celebrate in honor of University of Miami basketball coach Hy Lewis. Look,
Dan, the reigning fall champ Cyclones have started this season in incredible fashion. We are undefeated. We won again yesterday against the Fireballs. You can watch all these games on YouTube and the ESPN app. We are now 2-0-1, and a lot of the credit has to go to Bradley, a former Cyclone that was injured in his previous tenure. He's gotten healthy, and he straight up overpowered CRB. I have never seen a player look afraid on a fronton before.
Lote left side to the outside. Bradley's quick. Gets out there, keeps it low, just above the pad,
goodness.
and oh boy.
Bradley is very powerful and much bigger than CRB, and you never really see a highlight player flinch because a pelota is traveling 200 miles per hour right at his noggin. But that's what Bradley does.
That's what Bradley did in the post-game interview.
Yeah. And Dan, as I've mentioned before, we have a Super Bowl winner on our team. When you talk about great two-sport athletes, Bo Jackson, I guess you can lump in Michael Jordan now, given his recent success. Deion Sanders. Tenard Davis won a Super Bowl with the Indianapolis Colts and a Battle Corps championship previously with the Cyclones. Here is Jedin, a.k.a. Tenard Davis, in a postgame after a brilliant win with his new doubles partner, Unda.
The Undertaker is a cyclone.
Yes, he is.
That's Unda?
You want to hear Unda?
We are the Cyclone.
That's Unda.
Yes,
I
we
love
are
this guy.
Unda.
We are the Cyclone.
We are the Cyclone.
We are the Cyclone.
So he dropped the S on Cyclones?
Hey, he's from Spain.
We are the Cyclone.
Okay.
We are the Cyclone.
The Undertaker.
We are the Cyclone.
When you said they're undefeated, the Cyclone are undefeated again. They've won once or twice?
We are 2-0-1. One draw. We opened the match in a championship rematch of the fall final, and we drew the Devils. And since then, 2-0. This is one of the best locker rooms I think we've ever had. I love how supportive our guys are. You know, Unda, I love him being paired with Jedin because that is a championship player. This is so great for us.